If you've watched enough behind the scenes, you're probably familiar with storyboards. In animation, this tradition goes back to Disney, where artists pitch their boards in story sessions.
They look out and they see him flying in beautifully. But he dives down behind the building, Bernard warns him, the albatross comes in.
Eventually, they became story reels, and then this, the Animatic, where we take storyboards, time them out, and add temp dialogue, sound effects, and music.
You have a fox taser?
Dad, he's with me. It's okay.
You brought a fox to your home?
He's more than a fox, Dad.
Animatics are standard in animation, but a bit less common in live action. Although some people, like Wes Anderson, have adopted them.
It was off-season, and by that time decidedly out of fashion, and it had already begun its descent into shabbiness and eventual demolition.
We've been working in animation for about a decade, so when we jumped over to live action, we brought this process along with us. There are many ways to prototype a film. This just happens to be ours. Please enjoy this bonus video. Hi, my name is Tony.
And my name is Taylor.
And this is the commentary track for The Second, a short film we wrote and directed together.
Yeah, this is the first time Tony and I have worked in live action narrative. Well,
yes.
This is the first time we've worked together in live action narrative.
Yeah. Previously, we've done sort of semi-documentary video essay stuff like Voir, and we've worked in animation for the last 10 years.
So the first thing you've probably noticed is that the introduction is a bit different than what it ended up being. That is mostly because drawings are not real life.
Yeah, and we could not get a lot of those bathroom shots in this location. Physically couldn't get the camera anywhere near it.
Yeah, if we talk about the realities of production, the thing you find out very quickly is that you never have enough time, money, or resources.
Oh God, no.
Danny?
And here is Paul Sun-hyung Lee, our star, whose presence was absolutely crucial to getting this made.
Danny.
So as mentioned, we wrote this short film. Originally, it came about because we happened to be watching Barry Lyndon. And the two things that we walked away with that was, this movie is very pretty and duels are weird.
Very strange.
They're super weird.
We went down a rabbit hole figuring out, or learning about duels.
So after the script was done and finalized, I started storyboarding it.
Taylor drew 450 drawings of this.
Was it 450?
It was 450, and then you gave it to me, and then I cut it into an animatic, and that was what we sent to everyone, in addition to the script, to bring them on board. This little tyke is Tyrus Huang, who plays 8-year-old Danny, and his brother Ethan plays 16 and 24-year-old Danny.
You know, when your grandfather first took me to the field, I was so nervous.
I was trained as an animator, and I've been working as an animator, so animatics and storyboards are just something I'm extremely comfortable with, and I really like using as a tool for communication. That being said, knowing when to adapt and when to be malleable is a skill.
Our working process is to have this animatic show up every day, and then use that as a starting point and try to improve on it. If we can't get it, we just reference it as, this is our intention, how can we accomplish that with different angles.
Ready?
These were green screen shots shot on the 4th day of production in the garage area of the house where we did basically the opening sequence. We had considered at one point doing one of those Mandalorian volumes, but it felt like a bit of overkill.
Yeah, shout out to A52 and Primary for their amazing work, especially when it comes to the green screen replacements.
I get sad every time I see Paul's face there. This is all second unit reshoots from Vancouver because all the weather was bad, so none of the original shots cut with our actual footage.
Yeah, one of the things from going from animation to live action is just how much the weather is going to screw with your plans.
And the sun.
And the sun.
And this is our first time meeting the bros. Richard West, Martin Ortega in the middle, and Colton Royce on the right.
See, that's a respectable job.
Aaron Schwartz plays the efficient with the hat, he of the great eyebrows and the hat. One of the major changes was that in the drawings, they have Zorro masks. We did think it would be really funny to have guys in top hats, capes, and Zorro masks. But in pre-production, Asumi J, our costume designer, showed us the Zorro masks on people, and we said,
well, that's not going to work. Masks are kind of a drawn conceit. They work well in illustrations and animation, but they don't really pan out in live action because covering up people's eyes in live action is very detrimental to being able to emote.
Of the tradition. I said this only works if every man participates.
One thing I definitely want to talk about is lenses. You actually liked longer lenses than we expected. And
well, that's just something we discovered while we were working, is that I just in general seem to like longer lenses than this, but we couldn't really use longer lenses anyway.
Yeah. So the field, not this shot with Danny, but other shots, you'll see there's kind of a wall of green behind people. And what we discovered is if you shoot with a longer lens with that background, the actors look like they're standing in front of a green screen. It actually looks wrong to the eye.
Let us begin.
See you on the field. Of course.
First things first.
So this is a perfect example of production compressing shots, multiple shots into one. The original Animatic, this entire sequence was 12 setups, and it was basically exposition from the efficient while we showed Philip looking at the bros. On the day, we could not shoot 12 setups. I think we had like less than an hour, and Alfonso, our DP, said, I have 12 feet of dolly track. So we kind of sat there and problem solved it and came up with the idea that we would just do it as two push-ins, one going towards the efficient and then one following Sam, the medic.
It is also one of those questions of what is the scene about? Like, what is it really about, and how many shots do we actually need to convey that?
Amicably. Understood? Right, gentlemen, to the field.
So originally, the plan was to shoot the buffet table, the duel, all of it was supposed to just happen on the field, and when we got to the location,
it was a wall of green.
Yeah, for a very long time. So in order to break up sections of the movie visually, we decided to take the buffet sequence and put it into a different area, which had a different color space, and
it was like yellower grass, and it's on the bottom of frame.
Just to help break things up.
So as part of our research, we looked into negotiations, and usually what happened was obviously negotiations happened before the sides even get to the field. So for dramatic purposes, we decided they were going to negotiate on the field.
What? Movies aren't real life? Who knew?
I know. But as you can tell,
I feel like there was still always a way for you to back down one last time. So while negotiations wouldn't have happened,
there was always an out.
There's always an out, because the goal of a duel is to not get people to shoot guns at each other.
Yeah, it seems weird to say that. The goal of the duel is to not have the duel.
Yeah.
Like the Hamilton thing, most disputes die and no one shoots. So everyone in the...
Oh my god, that's copyright.
Hey, wow,
you can't say that out loud.
Oh my god, I can't say...
We're gonna get sued.
Scrub it. Sorry, Lin-Manuel. And here it comes. Everyone's favorite shot. This again was a production solve. We could not physically get Ethan to lean against the tree. It was not physically possible. So we needed to reblock the entire thing on the day. We didn't have stand-in, so I stood in as Paul, and Shakur, our first AD, stood in as Ethan, and we more or less moved around until I accidentally stood in this pose, and Taylor said, stop. That's really interesting.
It is, like a lot of two shots, a bit on the more theatrical side, and it is forced perspective. They are actually very far away from each other to try and get the effect that we were going for.
Seconds to me.
If you look at the behind-the-scenes footage in some of the video essays, you will notice that Taylor has plexiglass on the monitor. She then has like little markers, and she does drawovers directly on the monitor. I don't know any other live-action filmmakers who do that, and
there must be somebody else who does this.
I imagine maybe like VFX people who have a monitor would do it, but we always are amused when people show up on set and they see a monitor covered with cat doodles, and they wonder what the hell happened.
I'll check, but I think it's workable.
And Paul and Ethan did this argument first thing in the morning, and they both did a great job. Every take, they got riled up in different little subtle nuances, and then when we went through and we're just picking our favorite bits and trying to create a through line of it. Oh, here it comes. Your favorite panels.
Is this one? I don't know why. Every time I see them, They always make me laugh.
We never got this wide shot of the two of them under a tree from a distance, because I know you really, really wanted that, where they were like far away and you heard
It's like swaddling.
Yeah. If you go back through the film, take a good look at Aaron and Sam, who are the efficient and the medic. They have lots of little bits together.
I hope Paul appreciates the fact that he gets to say, "I am your father."
Did we ever talk to him about that?
No.
Dang it.
Paul got who Philip was so quickly.
Yeah.
And I feel like Ethan did as well. I know they spoke to each other a lot about how this relationship was going to come across on screen.
I do want to give a quick shout out to Sean William, our composer. From this point onwards till the end, this is a long 4-minute cue of music, and he had to compose it in like little suites to get it to work. We actually sent him the animatic before we shot anything, so he started noodling around before we even had footage, and then really started composing once he saw the cut.
All parties to me.
Oh yeah, here we go. The worst composition in the film. That one, I did that. That's my fault.
I don't think it's that bad.
Taylor walked away from the monitor for 2 minutes, and I was like, oh, I gotta line up a shot. So I quickly lined that up, and she came back and looked at it. We did a couple takes, and she was like, I think we should reshoot that after lunch.
I mean, we still used it, so it's not that bad.
Yep. And some people have asked, this is a real cloud passing Aaron's face. Complete accident on the day, and we saw it, we're like, put it in.
That's one of the fun things about shooting live action, is all the little happy accidents.
Yep. Oh, this is Taylor's recompose shot. You can see how much better it is.
Seconds. Present weapons.
I love the way this sequence turned out. Very dreamlike and painterly. Allie from Primary did such a great job with the color.
And as you can probably tell, this montage of the guns is much more involved in the animatic, with a lot of very, very special, like one-off shots that we could not get. Storm came in, and we had to get all of these in, I think, like 12 minutes. To many people's surprise, there are a lot of sky replacements in this short. Basically, anything from medium close to closer, a lot of those skies are replaced to match these blue, but the wider shots, the blue of the sky is real, and they use those as the reference.
Yeah, the interesting thing about modern filmmaking is how malleable the frame is. VFX, post-production, everything has become so powerful that you can change almost anything.
Danny, I regret my decision every day.
When people ask the difference between the animatic and the final, I generally tell them I think the animatic is about 20% more subjective. There's just a couple of extra angles that show Philip looking at something and then what he sees.
Duelists, to your marks.
I do want to say one of the challenges or tasks we set for ourselves on this short was to make something that had no dialogue on either end. So the opening 90 seconds and the last 2 minutes have no dialogue, and all the dialogue's in the middle.
Whatever you choose to do in that moment is between you and your God. Proceed.
So these guys are staring at tennis balls on stands, and it's just me off to the side saying, okay, now you're angry. You really hate this guy. You want to get him. All right, now you're going to shoot. Now you're scared. Now you're blah, blah, blah. And then I discovered later that Taylor had given them each direction, which was...
I told Colton something along the lines of, you want to go home. And I think for Ethan, I told him it was just realizing how scared everyone was.
I like the idea that I thought I was giving them really effective direction, and it turns out you told them something better. And they were probably just ignoring me shouting. These dolly shots here are Alfonso. I think he was literally checking his dolly, so he quickly rolled on them. And we saw them.
At one point, we were discussing moments of Ma and having just reset, like, shots. And that hand is backwards, and it drives me nuts.
In the drawing.
In the drawing.
The real hand is fine.
Yeah, he's fine.
This is the first shot Taylor ever drew. She thumbnailed a version of it. It was the very first thing that happened. And it was very helpful because we always knew what we were pointing towards.
Yeah, one of the things that I like doing in storyboards, I don't always follow this, but one of the things I like doing is having the last shot and the first shot in mind, so that I have where we are and then where we're going.
Yeah.
At least in theory.
So these are the deleted shots from the Animatic. A lot of them are car things because we did not have a picture car. We had a real car. So we couldn't take out windshields and therefore couldn't do a lot of special shots that we wanted to do just to show the car traveling and passage of time and things like that. There are some I miss some of these scenes, but they just didn't make the cut. I will admit that I did overboard the Animatic just for choice reasons, just so we had a couple avenues, plan A, go to plan B, plan B, go to plan C, and if plan C doesn't work, well, we'll figure it out on the day. Thanks to everybody who came on the journey with us. Yeah, thank you all.
We really couldn't have done it without our amazing
cast
and crew and everyone who was willing to put up with us during these past couple years while this was being made.
Anyway.
So yeah, thank you everyone for coming
watching.
along. Thanks for watching. And we will see you for the next project.
It's going to be a feature, right?
Who knows?